Hey guys, welcome to 2003. Today we're building a high-performance Athlon XP retro gaming PC. We have some benchmarks and a ton of gameplay footage coming up, but let's quickly go over all the parts. Here we have the heart of this build, the Athlon XP 3200 Plus, the top Athlon XP, running at a clock speed of 2.2 GHz. We're using an ECS motherboard with an Enforce 2 400 Ultra chipset, and we did review this motherboard not too long ago. Now for the RAM, we're using two 512 meg sticks from Corsair for a total of 1 GB in dual channel configuration. Unfortunately, the motherboard doesn't support overvolting the memory, which is required to be able to use the fastest timings, so there's a little bit of performance left on the table. We will be using two video cards. Firstly, we have the Radeon 9700 Pro because I wanted to compare this system with the final RAM bus Pentium 4 that we looked at in a recent video. Staying period correct, for 2003, the top dogs are the Radeon 9800 XT and the GeForce 5950 Ultra. Both of these are extremely sought after these days. They are kind of collector's items, to be honest. So this is a great opportunity to show you guys an alternative. This card is from 2004 that has been flying a bit under the radar, and you can still get it for good price. Yet it outperforms both the 9800 XT and the GeForce 5950 Ultra. And this is the video card I'm talking about. It is the ATI FireGL X3. It is the top AGP FireGL card that ATI produced. FireGL cards, those are workstation cards, and this X3 model cost $1,100 back in 2004. So that used to be a really high-end product. And it's got 12 pixel pipelines, 4 pipelines more than the Radeon 9700 or the 9800. And there will be a proper video review of this card coming up soon on the channel. For storage, we're going with a silicon image PCI SATA controller and a 120 GB SSD. And part of the fun with Windows XP retro gaming is the ability to use hardware accelerated sound cards. I'm going with the Audigy 2 ZS and also added one of these brackets, which gives me optical output. That just makes my life easier when capturing gameplay footage. And this power supply might be very familiar. It's a 500 watt PSU from Deepcool. I use this in most of my builds. And here we have the system all put together on the test bench. We're going to have a look at some benchmarks. Firstly, we're going to compare this system with the final Rambus Pentium 4 machine that we built recently in 3D Mark. Very little difference. We can call this a draw, to be honest. Moving on to Far Cry. At medium details, the Pentium 4 is a little bit faster, but not by much, and I don't have a result for the 1600 by 1200 resolution for the Pentium 4. Moving on to Far Cry with high details, the gap narrows a little bit. The Pentium 4 is ahead by a small margin, but not by much, and we can see a drop-off in performance as we crank up the resolution. And in Doom 3, we can see the Athlon XP 3200 Plus outperforming the Pentium 4. But again, it's a small gap. So all up, I would say this is a draw. Some games run a bit faster on the Pentium 4. Some games will run faster on the Athlon. And now we're going to swap out the 9700 Pro for the FireGL X3, which has 50% more pixel shaders. We can see in 3D Mark, even in 2001 SE, the performance goes up, but we can see the real difference in 03 going from around 6,000 to almost 8,000 3D Marks. And here we have Far Cry with medium details, and we are totally limited by the CPU. Even at 1600 by 1200, both video cards achieve 66 FPS. So let's crank up the details. Here we have high details, and we can see a separation now when we go to 1280 by 1024 and 1600 by 1200. The X3 FireGL card is starting to pull ahead. Here we have Doom 3. Now this game is a lot more demanding on the video card. Even at 640 by 480, we can see a difference between the two video cards, and that difference increases as we crank up the resolution. But even on the FireGL X3, once we hit 1024 by 768, we can already see we are starting to run into a GPU limit. And as we go to 1600 by 1200, we only have 35.8 FPS left. And now we're going to have a look at some gameplay footage. Because we're mostly limited by the processor, what can you do? Well, you can crank up the resolution. That's what we're doing. Most games run at 1600 by 1200. I put some details on the screen, the game title, the year it's from, and we're looking at games from 2000 all the way up to 2004.
Now, let's learn to jump and use your parachute. Look for the lowest floating platform in this room. Run toward it and jump on it by pressing the jump button. Now, jump to the platform closest to you. Try a parajump to the next platform. Press and hold both the jump button and the forward button to glide to your target. Try jumping onto that nearest platform, Kurt.
Yes. Ah, there you are.
Great start. Okay, change of plan. We'll have to use the lift on the right to get down to the maintenance area below the factory. From there, you can get to the UPA lift that leads straight into the plant. While you're down there, we can check out the scene where the technicians went missing.
Welcome to the
I think they may be keeping Val in the old carrier refueling station. You're going to have to check it out up close. Carrier? Yes. The Japanese Navy used one of their light carriers on this island during World War II. Crow's mercenaries have refitted it into a helicopter refueling station.
This whole deal gets stranger by the minute.
You don't know the half of it. Just be careful.
So let's summarize this video and I'll tell you what I think of this machine. Quite impressed with the performance. It's very similar in the benchmarks and playing the games compared to the Pentium 4, that ultimate RAM bus machine that we looked at recently. I wasn't able to get quite all the performance out of the machine because of the memory. Now, if you guys know any fast DDR400 memory that doesn't need overvolting, and still supports CL2 timings, do let me know. It's definitely something I'd like to purchase. The Athlon 3200 Plus is the fastest CPU, so if you're looking for more performance, there's no way around going with the Athlon 64. And if you're building a high performance Windows XP machine, that's probably what I recommend. And we will have a look at something along those lines in a future video, basically building a Windows XP time machine, mixing old and new, and you might find this video quite interesting. And that's pretty much it for this video. If you had an Athlon XP system back in the day, do let us know, especially if you had the 3200 Plus. And as always, if you found this video interesting, give it a like, leave a comment down below, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and click on that notification bell so you get updates for future videos. Thank you for watching, and I shall see you soon with another one.